process addictions can be porn, sex, gambling, video games, food. These things people express that they use often to give themselves a false sense of control or a false sense of power.
Welcome to the How to Heart Show, helping men reconnect to the heart and empower others as the leaders they were born to be. I'm Vincent Hazenboom. The world needs the raw and authentic men right now. Join us if you're ready to make a change. Hey, what's up, Lions? Welcome to the How to Heart Show. This topic is going to be about pornography, and there's a lot of taboo on it, but there's also a destructive side to it. So I brought a really amazing expert on this topic, Joshua Shea. Welcome to the show. I'm really excited to talk about this topic because it's, like I said, a really destructive path to go into, and it's really hard to get out. And I've been struggled like almost my entire life with pornography. I thought I had a way out, but then I was sucked right back in. So yeah, I'm really curious about your story and who you are and how you became an expert on pornography still. So welcome, Joshua.
Thank you so much for having me, Vincent. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. So just tell yourself in a short version, who are you, what are you doing, and why did you accept to be here for the interview?
Well, my name is Joshua Shea, as you mentioned. I now am a full-time pornography addiction and betrayal trauma coach, helping people get over the addiction and also helping their partners who go through a very difficult time. And I became this ultimately because I was a porn addict myself, no other way around it. I was a porn addict for 24 years. I became a porn addict at 12 years old. I'm very textbook when it comes to how you become a porn addict. I had both sexual abuse when I was young at the hands of a babysitter. I had some mental abuse later on at the hands of my grandmother. Both of these things I know absolutely contributed to it. And when I finally and I hid my porn addiction for my life pretty much. When that and my alcoholism, which I also battled with, finally came to a head when I was in my mid 30s, I had to I had to face the fact that I could not continue living like this. I was not going to be able to maintain a family life. I was not going to be able to uh, s- be a quality father. It just became very obvious and it was put to me very clearly by my wife, by my family, by my friends, by coworkers, by people who co-owned a company with me that it was time for me to shape my act up or I was not going to be part of their lives anymore. It was a true old-fashioned intervention and I took it seriously. And that was 9 years ago. Um, and I went to rehab for alcoholism. I went to rehab for sex and porn addiction. And as somebody who was a journalist and a writer for many years of my life, when I was trying to research the topic, when I was trying to learn more about it, I went to bookstore. I went on to Amazon, and there were so few books about porn addiction, I decided to write one. After I wrote my first book, I had so many mothers and wives and girlfriends write to me and be like, "Okay, you fixed yourself," which it's not true. Many other people helped, but you fixed yourself. How do I fix my boyfriend? How do I fix my son? How do I fix my husband? Um, and so I started to continue to write, and it just sort of snowballed. I started doing public speaking about the topic. Then the pandemic hit and public speaking shut down. And I started to do coaching. And I've been doing coaching now for almost 3 years. I spend probably 2/3 of my time now on coaching, and the other third of my time doing stuff like this, trying to educate as many people as I can.
Well, first of all, Joshua, thank you so much for sharing. You're being vulnerable and yeah, being showing that part of side of you because I know what it's like to be in the dark and knowing that you want to do it and just these urges and you don't know how to deal with it. And for me it was the same when I got this wake up call that I need to change. I wanted to change, but for me it was also so hard to quit. So how was it for you? Was it for you also like a hard road, or did you have a like an easy road, or how was it for you?
I quit pornography and alcohol on the same day cold turkey.
Oh wow.
um, because I knew that was the only way I could quit both of these things that I desperately needed to quit. Um, and it was difficult to get rid of the two things. I was an alcoholic 22 years. I was a porn addict 24 years. To get rid of these two things that had been by my side, helping me for the next 22 to 24 uh, years, it seemed impossible. But thankfully, I was working with professionals. I was in inpatient rehab. Uh, I didn't have access to the stuff, and they helped me realize what my addictions truly were about.
Yeah, and also what's really interesting, I think also for you is it was really connected to traumas for you also to dig and go back to that. Is it for you also that you're like on this journey with professional help that you got back to your traumas? You're like, oh, maybe is that the cause? Because that was for me as well. That I went back to my traumas and there I saw the heart for the pornography.
Yeah, it's pornography addiction is I don't want to say weird, but pornography addiction is a different animal. Um,
I
it,
agree.
it's unlike to me it's unlike any other addiction out there, and I think that's even true for partners. Partners of heroin addicts don't ask themselves, "Am I not pretty enough?" Partners of gambling addicts don't say, "Am I not good enough in bed?" Um, I think that, porn addiction is a super, super unique thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that as well. It's like I said, there's a lot of taboo and people think it's normal. It's normal to do it, it's okay. But when you go really deep into it, it's a destructive path. For me, I've been doing it like from a really young age until now, and now I know how to control it. But it doesn't sound harmless, but it is. That's why I wanted to bring you on this show to talk about this because I feel it's so important because we just wave to it, we just ignore it, but it's so destructive. So the thing that I want to go deeper on is what do you see in society and how young do you think people start with it?
I know in the US, the average boy sees porn for the first time at the age of 11. The average girl sees porn for the first time at 12. Anecdotally, we know that most who are going to start, um, most are going to start watching regularly 13 to 14 years old. Um, we have to recognize that 90% of those people who end up as porn addicts, the seeds are already there before they're 18. This happens when they're
Mhm.
young. And that's something that we have to, as a worldwide society, expect.
What I find interesting about the young people, and also now I see it also they teach on school like pornography, education at a really young age. So the access is more now easier. When I was younger, it was for me I need to watch, like you say, on books, like these magazines
Mhm.
or on the TV. I didn't have internet back then, and now with the internet, it's so easy. And when they get exposed to it, the brain's like, ah, they get so much dopamine, and then that's the moment they get hooked. So the internet is also a big deal with it.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I can't imagine if I was going to start to be an addict these days. Um, with magazines, you had a certain amount of photos and that was it. With a
Yeah.
videotape, the thing ended eventually. Um, I would watch scrambled cable channels to I'd watch scrambled cable channels hoping to see things.
Hmm.
And I couldn't imagine just having access. I mean, we give every 11-year-old kid the greatest porn
Yeah.
computer that's ever been invented with a smartphone and send them on their way these days. I can't imagine what would have happened to me because I ended up this bad with all the old school ways before the internet started. I can only imagine what would have happened.
Yeah, for me it's also the same. It's so easy now, especially with the smartphones, and it's scary. It's really scary, especially when there's no control over it with the parents, no supervision. And I think also what I for me is also I didn't accept myself as an addict. How was it for you? Was it for you also hard to accept, like, okay, I'm a porn addict, I have a porn addiction, and I have to get help?
Not when it was finally time to do it. When it was finally time to do it, it was almost relieving. I had
Uh,
hid my porn addiction for so long. Once it finally came out, it almost felt good that I could openly ask for help now. Like, okay, everybody has found out my secret. Please help me. That's the way it was more for me.
Interesting. Thank you so much for sharing it, because for me, I had a lot of shame behind it, and also my acceptance to accept that have an addiction. And once I accepted it, I like you say, there was an opening, like, okay, I know what I am, so now I can do something about it. So I think the
Right.
first of all is it's really important to say I have this problem and now I can get help. But getting help is usually the hardest part, especially when you're ashamed. So
Yeah.
what can you say to the listeners if they feel like shame or they want to get help, what they can do with that?
Understand that there are people out there who can help you, coaches, therapists. Um, I don't think people can truly do this on their own if they are an addict.
I agree.
But keep in mind that the people like me who help people with this, a lot of us have been through it, or just on a professional level, we have heard so much that, you might be the fifth person I talk to today. I'm not going to single you out and be like, oh my God, it's you. It's you. How could you have looked at porn? What's wrong with you? That's not the way it is. It's let's
No.
sit down and talk about the fact that you may have an addiction. You may have a medical problem. You may have the disease of addiction. And I don't care what you looked at. I probably looked at worse. And Lord knows in all my sessions I've heard plenty worse. There's nothing you can say to me that would offend me, that would shock me, that would make me feel less, that would make me see you as less of a person. I think that people who want to get help need to recognize this. Those of us who are out there ready to help you are not going to judge you, are not going to embarrass you. We understand that's one of the big things that you're worried about.
That's really nice said. And for me, what really was interesting, what you said, was the partners, like girlfriends, wives, mothers, like, help, I need help for my son. Because for me, maybe my parents knew, but they never told me, like, hey, Vincent, you need help with something, or you need help with this. And for me, I just kept on going because I thought there was nothing wrong with me. I was just watching porn and I had my fix, and I felt miserable afterwards, but I kept on doing it and nobody asked me. So that's really interesting that this came out. I was really surprised that you told me that.
Um, yeah, what's funny is I would say that my story is probably reflected in about a third of my clients.
Oh, that's a lot.
There's a lot more than I thought were out there who
Yeah,
have the same kind of mindset.
that is a lot. And is it like from the age, or is it really the it depends on who it is, right? Like, if it's a partner that's really like emotional just in himself and just not connecting with his wife, or children that's really exposed with and doesn't know a way out, and the mother sees it and then they looking for answers.
Yeah, I mean that's quite often it's that a male gets caught by his wife or his girlfriend,
Hmm.
and he doesn't even truly recognize he's an addict at that point. And sometimes they deny it, and sometimes that means that that relationships gets blown up. And sometimes, like I said with me, there is peace that's like, oh, thank God, now I can fix this. Please help me. And those are the ones where the relationships tend to stay together mainly.
Yeah, the thing is also for me, I try to speak from the heart as much as I can. And I've been in a rough relationship, and I wasn't honest with her. I we had didn't have any problems with pornography, but I can feel myself if I was in a relationship with my addiction and I didn't talk with her or him about it, then there's so much conflict, there's so much problem. So it's so important to be open about it and not be ashamed about it. And I feel like men just doing it because it's an escape. And that was for me. I was an escape to get out of my reality, the pain, the traumas, etc. And for me was an escape. And I think that's a lot with video games as well. It's an escape. Pornography is an escape. Drugs, alcohol, it's an escape. So I think that's now, especially with society today, that we're looking for escape. And that's now in our hands.
Well, what we're also seeing, and the statistics show that people who are chemical addicts, like drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, marijuana, these people who are chemical addicts are really doing it just for that escape, just for that numbness. In
Hmm.
looking at people who are process addicts, and process addictions can be porn, sex, gambling, video games, food. These things people express that they use often to give themselves a false sense of control or a false sense of power. Because when you think about it, if you're sitting in front of the computer screen and or in front of the phone screen, you're going to look at pornography. Well, nobody on that screen is going to say, "Whoa, whoa, no, Vincent, not today. I have a headache." Nobody
Yeah,
on that screen is going to say, "No, put this down. You're not, I don't like you enough. You're not pretty enough." Nobody on the screen is going to say, "You're late to work," or "You're late to school," or "You didn't take the trash out." Nobody on that screen is going to say anything to you. And on top of that, if you don't like what you're looking at, boom, you hit a button and you see something else. And if you don't like that, boom, you hit a button and you see something else. And with all of the porn that's out there, you can basically see anything you want. Any combination of men and women, any ages, any ethnicities, any body types, you can absolutely see it out there. And when you think about it, that kind of makes you like the sexual master of the universe when you're sitting there in front of a computer looking. And that is a lot of control.
it
That is a
is.
lot of power. And I know for myself, when I was an addict, that was definitely part of the reason I watched, because and I could see where in times where my life was more manageable, I didn't watch as much. When times when my life wasn't as manageable, I watched more. And I think that a big piece of it was to give myself the false sense of control in my life.
That's a really interesting thing what you say there, because for me it was also, I struggled a lot with control. Control about interaction, control about people, control. Everything was in control. So now when you say this, it's like, oh wow, this is really nice.
Yeah, it's not just about numbing. You want to get numb, drink a beer,
Yeah,
do a
exactly.
line, smoke some weed. You want control. You can't be screwed up on drugs. You want
Hmm.
control. You have to be doing something where you can manipulate, where you feel like you're making the decisions. And you can see how that would work with video games. You have to get to the next level. You have to get more points. You have to make your avatar on the screen do certain things. So it's kind of like it's you doing them. A lot of control. Gambling's the same thing, taking your hard earned money and deciding that, oh, I'm going to double this money if it's black. I'm going to lose all my money if it's red. That's a lot of control. And that's what the process addicts are after.
Uh-huh. Interesting. This is really interesting. This is really a new eye opener for me as well. To I didn't even look behind that to have the control, because it's true. Because if you see like this woman and this guy, well, gone. Next one. This is too soft. Next one. So you're always in control of what you watch.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. And like you said, if okay, well, I want to see somebody who's really fat, hit a button. I want to
Yeah.
see somebody who's Asian, hit a button. I want to see two girls go at it, hit a button. There's so much out there, you're going to find whatever you want these days.
Yeah, it's true. There's so much access. It's really disturbing and really, really scary at the same time, because your ancestors didn't behave like that, and now you have so much power and so much control over it. It's
Well,
scary.
and we're not talking ancestors like 2000 years ago either. You know, my you go back 3 generations. My grandfather or great grandfather probably never saw in their lifetime as much porn as I saw in one day when I was 15 years old.
Exactly.
But then I saw that the next day and the next day and the next day for years after years after years. And I think what that shows is that, in 3 generations, our brains are not going to evolve that quickly to make this
No.
something that we can tolerate. The technology evolves that quickly, but our little monkey lizard brains are not going to evolve to the point that we can take the barrage of chemicals, the dopamine, the oxytocin, the endorphins. We can't take that barrage that porn gives us. Yes, it feels great at first. Those chemicals feel great. When you're self pleasuring and you finish, that feels great. But after a while, you continue to do this and you develop that need for it without even realizing it. And pretty soon, you've fried most of your dopamine receptors, and you're then looking for some really crazy stuff online to get yourself to be able to finish, because the regular stuff won't do it for you anymore, because our brains are not equipped to see this much pornography that's going to create this much of a chemical buzz for us.
The thing what you explain also, that's a really good way to talk about the dopamine receptors, because we get so much dopamine, not just with the porn, also with food, with gaming, with internet, with social media. So our brain is just getting worn out. But if you use also the pornography and just finish, you're just empty. You're just draining your life force out of your body, because we think like semen is just to make a woman pregnant, but it's your life force, the man. It's the life force inside of us. So when you masturbate and you ejaculate, you're losing that energy. But
Right.
also when your brain is just numb and dead, you're not in the mood to do anything. You're gonna feel depressed, you're gonna feel tired. And that's what I've noticed with myself, that I was tired every day and I was wondering why. And then I see a doctor and then they gave me medication. But now I know, because I was just over abuse porn.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. And with the fact that we're not educating in this world about it, we're not talking about it in this world because it's so taboo. We are just it's like sending lambs to the slaughter, giving a kid an iPhone and saying, go on your way. Because realistically, if you can spell man, sex, woman, you can see a man having sex with a woman. Any 8 year
Yeah.
old can spell that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really sad that children are getting so exposed to it at a early age, and they just, if they got hooked. I hear a lot of stories from people, they watch porn and they just hit like addicted right away, and they just keep struggling over and over and over, and it wasted so many years of their life. And for me was the same. I think I was started watching porn when I was 16 until my age 35. Now I'm learning to let it go. But what for me was my struggle was, I felt empty because I was so afraid to talk to women. I was so afraid to connect with them and have sex with them, because I felt like I need to be good in bed. I had performance anxiety and I didn't talk to women. So for me, it was easy to go to pornography. And I think today it's still the same. Men are scared to talk with women, or the expectations are too high. And when they talk with the women and they get rejected, there's like, okay, there's something wrong with me. The porn is safer, so I go back there. So I have a question about that for you. Do you see really that also in your studies as well, with men go to porn because they are afraid of talk to women?
Yeah, a lot of teenage boys, especially who discover pornography. It's why should I, if they're 15, 16 years old, why should I stress about trying to talk to a girl in my class when I can just go home and see grown naked women online doing anything I want them to,
Yeah, it's
and I
true.
don't have to have a conversation with them. You see a lot of these guys in groups like NoFap or these red pill groups or these incel groups who they blame women, not themselves. That they'll say silly stuff like, these women out here these days, all they want is a guy with a good body, who's handsome, who makes good money. They don't give guys like me a chance. And it's like, okay, what? You're complaining that somebody wants somebody who's good looking, has money, and is smart or successful. Go make yourself be that.
Exactly.
And you see these guys who just, I think, are so scared of women or so scared of life that they blame the women and then spend the time watching porn.
It's also easy, right? Just to say
Oh yeah,
no, this is it's you give the responsibility away to somebody else. Like, yeah, it's her fault. She needs to change, and I have to do nothing.
right. I'm the perfect guy. I don't know. I don't
Exactly.
know why they're going for good-looking guys who make money. Me, who is average looking and is broke, I'm the catch.
Exactly. Yeah. The For me also, my journey is not also with porn, but also with dating coaches, and I've learned a lot. And what I realized was I was stuck in my head. Like what you explained just now. I thought I need to be handsome, I need to have all the money in the world, I need to have a car, all of that. But women act different as men. They're more like emotional and we are more
Yep.
logic. So I was the same. I comb my hair when I went out. I also need to have like this prefer the perfection of my clothes. I need to talk perfect, even though I stutter, I get nervous. And I thought there was something wrong with me. But there's nothing wrong with me. It's my mind. It's my
Yes.
belief that I have about myself. And I think
Yes.
there's a lot of men are struggling and stuck with it because they have the wrong set of limitations of their view of the world. And I think there's a lack of education about it as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely is that. Well, I mean, it's still the fact that despite the fact that 91% of men who use the internet look at porn once a month, despite the fact that over 60% of women who use the internet look at porn once a month, we still like to pretend as a society that nobody looks at porn and nobody self pleasures and nobody's doing this kind of stuff when the reality is there are far fewer people who don't look at porn than who do these days. And that needs to be out there because maybe if we had this kind of information out there, we could talk about it more fully. We could be adults about it. You and I have been talking half an hour. We haven't got graphic about pornography. We don't need
No.
to. We can talk about pornography without being graphic about the content.
Yeah, Joshua, I really agree with that. And that's the thing. It needs to be talked about. We don't have to go super deep because it's porn. What is there so sophisticated to talk about? It's we need to understand what can cause a problem and how you get stop and how you can change your life, because it can just suck the life out of you.
Yeah.
And what I want to ask the question is, what was for you the most shocking results that you did in your research and you said like, okay, now I need to do something about it. Now it's the time for me to write this book and shine the light on it.
When I saw a statistic back in 2017 from an organization called the Barna Group, they surveyed men who were 18 to 30. At that point, that basically was people who grew up not knowing a world before the internet. And this group of 18 to 30-year-old men, nearly 33% said they had a problem with pornography, said that they were developing addiction, or said that they already had a full-blown addiction to pornography. That was 1 out of 3 men from 18 to 30. We are
Okay.
going to have a crazily sexually unhealthy society if we continue to go down this road, if these numbers keep rising. And unfortunately, there's a big divide right now. It's you have the people who were raised before the internet. They're the ones in power, they're the ones in government, they're the ones who decide the budgets for research, they're the ones who decide the public health issues. And then you've got all these people who are now under 40, maybe under 35, who don't remember a world before the internet, who OnlyFans is a very common thing and part of their everyday life. And they can name 10 porn sites even if they don't go to them, because it's just part of the younger culture these days. And I think that that's where the big divide is. The people with true control in this world who could do something about this problem grew up before high-speed internet. So they don't even understand the problem. Ask somebody who's 55 years old what OnlyFans is. They'll look at you like you're crazy. Yet for a 25-year-old, they can probably name 5 people who are using it that they know.
It's crazy because I also talked with a guy when I was on vacation, and I also talked about pornography and all of that, and he said most of my friends, they remember, or they try to remember all the porn actresses, their names. I was like, what? Why is this so important for them to remember the porn actresses, their names? And it just like was like, no, I have to do something about this. This is ridiculous. It's crazy that people are so caught with the names, with the videos. I need to, like you say, like I need to watch this because then I don't feel complete. And it's usually also the fantasy. I think like men want, for me, it's also like I really want to have like sex with 2 women just to know what it's like. And I think a lot of men go on the internet just to fantasize what it's like
Yeah.
to have that in their own life.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. But what a lot of these men don't recognize, these men go on the internet and watch this kind of stuff. But if you look at the statistics of the amount of women who actually allow 3 ways to happen in their life, if you look at the amount of statistics of women who allow certain exotic things like anal sex to happen in their life, it's very rare in real life.
Yeah,
Yet you watch a porn and you think that every woman wants to do this
I agree.
willingly and happily, and that's just not the way reality is. And that's the thing, is that especially for these younger people who can now watch porn nonstop on their phones, what are the messages? What are they learning? What do they think sex really is? Those of us who are older and who have been in healthy sexual relationships, we know that porn is not a reality show. We know that porn is not a documentary. Yet, how is someone who's 13 years old supposed to know that?
I agree. And especially with the kids, they think that's sex. They think this is how it's meant to
Yeah.
be, that women like what they see on porn. And they're gonna try it with girls in school, like maybe she's gonna into that, or maybe she like this. And she doesn't like that, and she's gonna reject him. He's like, oh man, so porn is not what it's supposed to be. Well, then they're gonna look for something else because they have need to get the urges or the dopamine fix. And I had a question, but I forgot. It was really about that, about the pornography, and how to get into that. But maybe it's gonna back to me again. But I have a really important question that I want to ask for myself as well, and that is the trauma. Because I had to go deep inside my trauma, and there I found the key. But I had so many problems to stop, and I told myself, now I need to stop. Now it's time for me to stop and quit. But then I went back So my question is to you, how do you prevent going back? Because that was my downfall every single time, going back knowing that I didn't want to watch.
Um, I think that you have to know your personality type. I think that you have to understand how do you keep other unhealthy things away from you that perhaps are tempting? How do you not go get that second piece of cake? How do you not stay up till 4 a.m. because you want to watch TV? How do you live a healthy life? And I think what you have to do is take a look at your behaviors when it comes to your use of pornography, when it comes to your self pleasuring. When are you using? Where are you using? Why are you using? Is it only on days that you're having a bad day, or your boss or your teacher said something to you, or you're sad? One of the things I do with many of my clients initially is that I tell them, I don't want you to change your behavior all that much right now. For the next week or two, I just want you to write down every time you use, because we need to find some patterns here that we can go after. And if it turns out that you are always looking right before you go to bed because you start with TikTok, well, we need to make sure that you don't go to bed and look at TikTok. We need to make sure that you leave your phone in the other room, or you don't go to bed until you're ready to pass out completely. It's a matter of knowing your patterns and then being able to change them.
I agree. That's absolutely true. It's changing your habit, and then you're gonna change your neural links in the brain, and it's gonna make other connections in the brain, and then you're gonna do something else. So that's really, yeah, a really fascinating topic to also to continue on. But I want to ask you the question with, for my listeners, if they're listening, what can they do for them if they notice like, okay, porn is getting out of control. It's getting taking over my life. What can they do for them to take measures in their own hands?
Well, you can try to cut back yourself, and I think many people can cut back themselves if they're not into full-blown addiction yet. I think they can see, okay, I need to watch less of this. I need to be around people more. But I think it comes down to, if you think you have a problem, you go see somebody or you talk to somebody who knows more about it. If you think that you've got a cracked tooth, you go see the dentist. If your hair is all unruly and doesn't look good, you go see the barber. If you believe that you have problems with pornography, if you believe you may have some trauma that's caused pornography, you go see a therapist or a coach. And I'll tell you, Vincent, probably 1 out of 8 guys who come to me, I have to tell them, you're not a porn addict. I appreciate the fact that you worried about it, but you don't fall into the symptoms. Maybe something else is going on, but you're not a porn addict. And that's also tough to tell the partners, because there are times where a woman will so want to believe that her partner has a problem that's, medical, that's mental, that it's not rejecting her. It's not that he's rejecting me, it's that he's sick with the porn. Well, it may turn out he's not sick with the porn, and then I have to tell her, I'm sorry, he's not an addict. Just because you caught him looking twice this year does not mean he's an addict. Maybe he's just a butthead. Maybe he's just a piece of crap. Maybe you don't have a good boyfriend picker. Uh, it doesn't always have to be addiction. There are other things going on, and I think sometimes, yeah, it is. Sometimes it is a matter of somebody isn't an addict. They're just using pornography against their partner's wishes. And a lot of times that's when people will start to ask themselves if they have a problem. If you wonder if you have a problem, go find somebody who can answer that for you.
There's nothing to add here. I really enjoyed this amazing talk with you, Joshua. It's I had some interesting pickups also for me also to go back. And I think also you need to go back to yourself, have that mirror and say, what do I need? Is it my trauma? Is it something that happened? And it's like you said, if you have watched porn, it doesn't mean you're addicted. It can also be because you enjoy watching porn. But if you are control over it instead of controlling you, then I don't think there's really a big issue. But if it's taking control of you, yeah, then you need to do something about it.
Absolutely. And yes, there are far more people who don't have a problem than do. But I just think that in today's society, everybody needs to know and everybody needs to learn that it can become an issue if they're not careful.
True. And it all starts with yourself. If you that's it. Just like you said, you can blame this your woman, you can blame your girlfriend, you can blame your boss. It starts with you. Why do you watch porn? Why do you have the urge to watch it? And if you go back to it and go to the roots, and then like you said, you're gonna cut it off, you're gonna change your habit, it's gonna devolve. It was for me too. I didn't have any purpose. I was just numbing myself, but now I'm doing this podcast. I'm working on myself. I go to the gym. I don't need porn. It changes. I'm getting healthy habits into my life. So the urges to go to porn is less. And I think that's really important for men to understand that if you want to get rid of porn, you have to change your habits, and then you're gonna not
Absolutely.
need any more porn.
Absolutely. 100%. It's anybody. I understand the draw of addiction. I understand how hard it is to defeat addiction, but anybody can if they want it bad enough.
True. Awesome. So Joshua, thank you so much for this amazing interview. I really enjoyed this talk. And how can they follow you, and how can they search your work?
You can go to my website, which is the letter P and then Addict Recovery. So that's paddictrecovery.com. Or you can find me on social media, Instagram. My name is P Addict Recovery. And on TikTok, my name is That Corn Coach.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And also, I will put your descriptions in the what's it called?
Show
The
notes.
the show notes. Exactly. Thank you so much. I'm
No
gonna
problem.
put all your information there so people they are connected to it or resonate, they can look you up and contact you, because this is really important. And I just want men to have a healthy, happy life with their partner, with a girlfriend, or being single, and not go to pornography as an escape, because it can take away your life, and time is precious. It's short. Life is short,
Very.
and it's good for you to know and what you can do about it. So Joshua, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, hopefully we can do another session, because I really enjoyed this talk.
I hope so. Thank you for inviting me, Vincent.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Hey Lions, thank you for listening. Glad to have you on our journey to the authentic self. Want to learn more to embrace your potential? I invite you to keep listening. Do me a favor and smash the like and subscribe buttons, as this helps the show reach more listeners who need to hear these messages. See you next time.